Welcome back, my friends. Welcome back. Scotty the Trucker coming to you, very unfortunately, from a Best Western hotel in Roanoke, Virginia, my home state. I'm just down the road from a Freightliner dealership, which plays into today's story. Yeah, it's been, I think, about 8 days since my last video, and the last video was me on home time, which was a little over a week ago. Maybe a week and a half ago, something like that. Had a great time. Everything went well. Got back on the road, and great week. Probably my best week. Revenue, as far as just, getting stuff done right, doing the job proficiently. It was a great week. I did, I think, 5 loads in 6 days. It was just bing, bang, boom. Spent almost the whole time up in the upper Midwest. I think I went through Chicago 5 or 6 times, something like that. Just kind of back and forth in that area. Really great week. Was just kind of on a high. And what goes up must come down, folks. Yeah, I can't begin to tell you, and I'm sorry if my hands, this angle's not great. I didn't bring my little YouTube thing to the hotel, so I got it propped up. Can't tell you how frustrating this last week has been. No way to get around it. First, I don't know, I'd say maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 days ago, something like that. I don't know what happened, but I just misplaced my CDL. Not lost, I didn't get in any trouble or anything. Misplaced must have been a pocket full of cards. I don't know what I did, but I misplaced my CDL, my Prime ID, and not that it's that important, but my pilot card. And I'm not an irresponsible person. I can't remember the last time I lost a set of keys or a wallet or anything like that. Had to have been maybe somewhere around my college years. I honestly can't remember. I'm a person who keeps things in their place. That said, when you come out trucking, kind of your routines change a little bit and adapt. Maybe not necessarily for the better. My tendency, you do have to bring in your CDL to most shippers and receivers. You of course have to have the other 2 cards whenever you're fueling, that kind of thing. And I'd gotten into a habit, looking back, probably a bad habit, of not wanting to lug my whole wallet, my phone, and everything everywhere I go. I'd take the cards that I needed for the moment, put them in my pocket, and do my business, come back and put it back in my wallet. Now that wasn't a problem spring and summer. My shorts have very deep pockets, not a problem. But recently I switched over to sweatpants, on the cooler days, and they don't have as deep of pockets. I honestly don't know if that's what happened. A part of me still thinks it's somewhere in that truck that I just, on a tired night, stuck them in a cubby or something, or a drawer, thinking I'd remember that I did it. I don't know. I think as days wear on, I think that theory is running a little slim. I think the most likely thing is that I went to a shipper or receiver, was checking in, took the cards out, set it on the counter, did my check-in, and walked away. That's my guess. So it's neither here nor there. They're gone. So anyway, the plan from there, I gave the very reluctant call to dispatch, and they were amazing. No shame on yous, no nothing. They got right on it. They ordered me a new card and said they'd have it sent to my house, and that they would route me home so that I'd get the CDL. Now on the way, I did check, and in Virginia you can do the CDL online. Of course, you got to go pick it up, or have it mailed to your home. So I did that along the way. I ordered it, and it's supposed to be like 5 to 15 days for it to show up. And in the meantime, dispatch had the card mailed to my house or shipped or whatever. Now, I was heading that direction. I had a great load. Don't even remember, somewhere around Chicago. No, Michigan. It was a place in Michigan. Load of potatoes. And I had that sent. That was kind of a neat one too. I'll talk about that maybe later. This was the first time it wasn't like it was just, you back up to the conveyor belt and they just unload a pile of potatoes in your truck. Kind of neat. But anyway, that was destined for my home state, Lynchburg, Virginia. Okay, I got within 70 miles. It was nighttime. I was in the mountains. You know, everything had been going great all day long. And I went down a hill, or I don't know, somewhere. I remember I was right next to a rest stop. This happened right as there was an exit to a rest stop, which would have been much easier if I could have pulled in quick, but it was too late. What happened was my Jake brake went out completely. It was not like there was no alerts. There was nothing on the dashboard flashing. In fact, what I noticed was, I mean, it was just a dead stick. It just all of a sudden, to me, that's probably an electrical problem, a wire or something. There was no lurching or anything like that. Just Jake brake wouldn't engage. And I looked on the dash and the light wasn't coming on for Jake brake. Did all 3 levels several times and nothing. I'm like, oh crap, okay. And then, so I was thinking about pulling over. And as I was doing that, and this is all happening pretty quickly, I noticed when I'd step on just touch the gas, my RPMs would peg. So I got over in a hurry. You don't want to be in the mountains without a Jake brake, and whatever this accelerator thing was happening was definitely an issue. So I considered myself broke down. The truck was not off or anything. It would run, but I couldn't move at the time. And the Jake brakes, I was worried to be anywhere in the mountains without, you know, the Jake brakes to lean on a little bit. So I pulled over and then did the whole breakdown thing, notified road assist, notified dispatch. Within a couple hours, they had tow truck out there, and I'm telling you, these guys were honestly a joke. The guy first tried to lift the front of the trailer using my hook into my deer guard, you know, and I'm like, I guess you know what you're doing. It does have the 2 little, you know, circular hook rings or whatever. Looked a little odd to me, but who am I? I don't know. I'm new to this, and he apparently has been doing this a while. But as soon as he started lifting it, you could see the rings bending. Like, oh, you know. So it took him hours to get that thing connected right, and you know, they have to disengage the drive shaft. That took him forever to get the bolts off. I learned later that those are a real pain in the ass to get off, but man, he had to call in another guy from his shop to come meet him there and help him work on it. Hours and hours. Anyway, long story short, tow truck, expensive, very expensive. They took me to Freightliner here in Roanoke, checked in. They ran me to a hotel, Best Western, which is where I'm at now. And then the frustration really kind of begins. I remember looking at these videos and thinking, you know, a few days in the hotel, you know, nice break from, you know, you see people broke down and at Freightliner or whatever and having a few days off. And, you know, they're anxious about wanting to get back on the road. But, you know, before trucking, I'm thinking, that can't be but so bad. You get a little break. No. It's nerve-wracking, especially when you're a lease operator, you know. And all this is basically on you. Now, it's bumper-to-bumper warranty. Not too worried about that. But the tow is not. The tow is expensive. The hotel is not. The hotel is expensive. Eating when you're in a hotel. I brought a bag full of snacks, but it wore out. And so it's been Papa John's mainly. All very, very expensive. Now, I've been here. This is my 6th day. I am checking out today. And it's been very frustrating because, and I remember an old video way back before I ever started coming, you know, while I was thinking about coming to Prime, my old trainer, Eric Odom from Driver Lineup, he did a few videos. I think he was plagued with a headlight issue, I remember. And I remember him talking about it, that he'd take it to the, I guess, dealerships, and I'd taken it to Prime. Wherever he went, they couldn't replicate the issue because it was an issue where you go over a bump and the headlight would go out. And then it would come back on or wouldn't come back on, you know, or you have to mess with it. I just remember really frustrating problem. You can't be out there with your headlight off half the time. But they would never do anything. They wouldn't replace it. They wouldn't budge on it because they couldn't replicate the problem. And wouldn't you know it, that's what I've hit here. They took it out and they can't replicate the jake brake issue. They don't know what happened there. Now, they have fixed a couple little, if you remember, if you've been watching, I've been plagued by some really annoying little, like, electrical dashboard type stuff. Apparently, I haven't gone, I'm going over in a little while to get the truck. Hopefully they've fixed my cigarette lighters, for one thing. They don't seem like a big issue to, you wouldn't think about it, but when you're connected to GPS and you need your phone and all that, you got to have your chargers working, and they haven't worked since the day I got them. I've had them worked on twice. They'll work for a little while, then they'll start to flicker, on and off, and just a pain in the ass. So hopefully, they said they've reconnected the wiring back there. So at the very least, hopefully that'll be done. But they couldn't do anything with the jake brakes. And I'm not a mechanic. I'm not a mechanically inclined person. However, just knowing the issue that I hit, it's not something you imagine. It was completely dead stick. The jake brake, nothing. I mean, I went up and down, nothing. So not imagined. Even though I'm new, it's not a mistake or anything. It did happen. The jake brakes went out, and connected to that in some way was the accelerator thing. So, but they couldn't fix it. They took days and days. They took it out, ran it, trying to replicate the issue, and couldn't get it to do it again. So here I am, beyond frustrated. I'm not going to get into totals or anything, but the tow trucks are expensive. And 5 nights in a Best Western. I could have gone Motel 6. That was $45 a night, but my back doesn't do well in bad hotel beds. So I bumped up to Best Western, not knowing that I'd be here this long, 5 nights. Bed's been great, but the Best Western's about twice that. Not super expensive, but when you're here just waiting on a truck, I'm not on vacation, the money is just piling up with food and everything. So anyway, is what it is. It's a learning experience, but man, basically in my mind, just flushed probably $3,000 down the drain to get a couple cigarette lighters fixed and leaving worried that this thing's going to happen again, So I was just saying that, not mechanically inclined, but just the way this thing went out, it wasn't, nothing lurched, or there was no big loud sound or thunk or anything like that. It just all of a sudden, that stick on the steering column was dead. It just wouldn't engage anything. So to me, that's probably a wiring issue, a loose connection somewhere. Must have been, not all the way because it's working again, but I don't know. Very, very frustrated right now. And I'll talk about it later. I'm inching towards doing a money video, not the kind that some of y'all are used to, and I'll explain that later. But just kind of a general money talk. I want to address that and some of the things that your typical lease trolls come out and talk about, and I want to talk about those too. In some ways, some of those guys, although I totally disagree with their tactics in coming in hot on a YouTuber, some of their points aren't necessarily completely invalid. So this is the lease life. This is what happens. I had hoped. Everybody's going to break down. It's inevitable. I had just hoped it would be a little further down the road. Let me get my feet under me and rolling on my new career before this happened. But it is what it is. It's not going to break me. I have been smart about my business accounts. I've been building that up, my savings for taxes and things like that. So I've very quickly built up a little bit of a trucking nest egg, which has served me well here. But man, can't be more frustrated right now. So here I am at 11 o'clock. They're going to send a guy over to pick me up and bring me over, and I get the truck. I'm going to be, I'm kind of back and forth with the dispatch right now, planning to bobtail home. It's a 2 or 3 hour drive from here. I'm in the state, but I'm not necessarily close to where I live. My CDL is in. My ID didn't arrive. I'm on the phone also trying to figure out what happened with that and maybe get another one sent. But I hate to be out a few more days, but I kind of look at it both ways. What's a couple more days after this? Just get there, get my cards, and get back on the road. So I think that's the plan. It's in a little bit of a state of flux right now. But my intention right now is to just bobtail home, get my CDL, and either wait for the card or maybe get routed to wherever, have it sent to Pittston, or you know, just have it wait for me in Springfield. The only thing that I've hit, and I'm going to call the fuel desk and figure this out. Maybe some of you in comments can figure when I lost my fuel card, it's not a big issue. The biggest issue is fueling. You know, it's your Prime ID, but it also acts as your fuel card. When you don't have that, you can't punch in at the gas pump. So I learned the process on that. You call the fuel desk. They put you on, it's supposed to be each time, they put you on lost card status. And you go in manual and, you know, go into the cashier and manually put in your information. Just kind of a pain in the neck, but it works. Aside from that, not the card issue, but a few times I've gone to places to get gas, bobtail, and it causes a problem. I'm not on a load, and I don't have a trailer. It asks for your trailer number, trip number. I don't have a trip number. Like, I'm about to head home. I'm sure I'm going to need I needed to gas when the thing happened. I'm sure they've put in some because they've had to run it, but it's not going to be a full tank. I'm knowing we have to get gas, and that's caused an issue almost every time I've been bobtail. And I'll certainly call the right people. But if you happen to know the solution to this, put it in comments. What do you punch in for trip? What do you punch in for trailer? Because it doesn't seem to allow you to bypass that. You can't get your fuel without those two. So it's caused an issue in the past. So anyway, so there we have it. Very frustrating. And maybe some of this could have been avoided if I, knew this job a little better, knew what to expect a little more. But learning experience. But man, it's been an expensive one. And I'm really down about it, to be quite honest. So, like I said, not enough to break me. I'm not, it's not that. It's just, man, when you've been working so hard, to build up and try to get going, and it's been a struggle a little bit for me. I've had little setbacks, little maintenance things, and these electrical things keep coming up, and they'll fix it kinda, and then it'll be doing it worse, in a week, So, I'm just kind of frustrated with this. I just want to get rolling and moving and making some money and putting something into my savings. And right now, just doing better than I was in the old job. I'll give you that much. But the setbacks and issues have kept me from rolling the way I thought I would right now. So I'm still very hopeful that this is going to be a very lucrative thing. It's just, if the gods of fate would just leave me alone for a little bit, let me get rolling, I think things will be a lot better. So anyway, very depressing video. I don't like these kind, but it is what it is. And those of you that are thinking of coming out here, you got to know this kind of stuff. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's a lot of frustrating things with this. And one of the things I'll say about trucking is, if you're coming from a salary type position, like I was, a desk job, the desk job, the salary, W-2, that's a stable lifestyle. You can argue whether it's enough money or not, but when you can bank on a weekly paycheck, there's a certain level of security that you get for that. Trucking, that's kind of out the window, especially lease. It's week to week. 1 week will be absolutely phenomenal. Next week, nothing. You have to spend a few days in Springfield waiting on your truck getting fixed. Nothing, And then something like this, can happen at any time, and will happen. I'm not really complaining about the breakdown so much. It is inevitable. Everybody's going to break down. The timing sucks. I just wished it had been a little further down in the career, where I could weather it a little easier, but it is what it is. So anyway, hopefully I'm past it. I'll be heading home for at least an overnight. We'll decide whether I'm going to stick around and wait for the Prime ID to show up or not, but I'm anxious to get back on the road. But it's one more night. I'm going to go see my family for a moment while I pick up my CDL, and hopefully I'll get rolling pretty quickly after that. So upsetting. Not my typical video. I like to be positive. I like to have a lesson in all this. It's hard to find it in this one. But anyway, I hope everybody's doing very well, and I hope to talk to you soon. I hope to be in a much better mood, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, see ya. Bye-bye.